Two twins stood on a broken sidewalk in Los Angeles. They were quiet and calm, holding their only toy. They were trying to sell it for $20. They weren't begging or looking scared. But there was something serious in the way they stood, something important, but no one noticed. Until Keanu Reeves did. Something made him stop. He didn't know why, but he felt like he needed to go over. And what he found there wasn't just about a toy, it was a quiet cry for help, a secret no one else saw. Los Angeles was glowing in the soft light of the late afternoon. It had just stopped raining, and the ground was wet and shiny. Puddles sparkled like broken glass. Cars moved slowly and horns sounded far away. Outside a fancy toy store with shiny windows and clean white walls, two boys stood. They were twins, about 10 years old. They were skinny and quiet, each carrying a small, worn-out backpack. One twin looked at the toy car on the ground between them. The other watched the street carefully. The toy car was red. It was old and made of plastic, but very clean. The wheels were taped so they wouldn't fall off. The plastic looked faded, but someone had taken good care of it. On top of the car was a piece of cardboard with messy black marker letters, $20 for sale. The boys didn't talk much. One held his backpack tight and kept his head down. The other stood tall and looked around. "Keep your eyes out," the quiet boy whispered. "I am," the other replied, still watching the street. "Do you think someone will stop?" "They have to. We just need 20. The first boy looked down again. There was a small bruise on his arm. You had to look close to see it. "Do you think he'll let us come back in if we get the money?" "I don't know," the other boy said after a moment. "But maybe he won't yell." They went quiet again. The sun shined on the toy store window, making all the new toys inside sparkle. A robot with blinking lights, a fire truck, a plane with a spinning propeller. They all looked bright and perfect. But the red car on the sidewalk didn't belong to that world. "Remember when we got Turbo?" the quiet boy asked softly. "Yeah. It was Christmas. Mom stayed up all night setting up the track on the carpet. We broke a wheel the first day, and she fixed it with kitchen tape," the other said, giving a tiny laugh. "And now we're here. Now we're here." Time passed. People walked by. Some looked. No one stopped. "Maybe we should have written 10 on the sign," said the more serious twin. 10 doesn't cover it. But maybe it would sell faster. "Turbo's worth 20. Mom always said to care for the things you love." "But we're selling him anyway." They stayed quiet. One boy crouched down and fixed the toy car. He straightened the sign and brushed off some invisible dirt with his sleeve. "Turbo," he whispered, "just a little more, okay? Hang in there." The other boy looked at him gently, then looked across the street at an old apartment building. The building had peeling paint and rusty balconies. His jaw tightened. "Is he up there?" "Don't know. Don't let him see us." "Don't look," the quiet one warned. "Pretend we're selling it for candy." "But we're not." "Pretend anyway." A fancy-looking woman walked by and didn't stop. A man with a briefcase didn't even look. A little girl stared at the boys for a second, but her mom pulled her away. "They never stop, do they?" "They don't. Even with the sign. Even with the sign." "Then why did we make it?" "For someone who wants to see." The quiet boy lowered his head again. "I hope someone sees." Across the street, Keanu Reeves stepped out of a small cafe. He had a coffee in his hand. He wore dark jeans, a black jacket, and simple shoes. His hair was a little messy, falling over his face. He wasn't in a hurry. He was just walking. But then he saw something. 2 boys, a red toy car, a cardboard sign. He stopped. Something about them made him stay still. The toy wasn't just a toy. The boys weren't just standing there. They looked still, but it wasn't calm. It was like they were holding in something big. Keanu looked for a few long moments. Then the light changed, and he crossed the street. He didn't know why, but he felt heavy inside, like something important was happening. He walked up to them. The boys saw him and froze. They didn't know if they should stay or run. He stopped a little distance away. "So, is this guy really for sale?" he asked, looking at the red toy car. The taller twin looked down. "Yeah, $20. Keanu raised an eyebrow. "He looks like he's got some stories." The quiet twin shrugged. "He's just old now." Keanu knelt down beside the toy car. He touched the faded hood. The wheels wobbled a little, but the whole thing had been cleaned carefully. Someone had even polished the plastic with oil or soap to make it shine. "You two cleaned him up last night," Keanu said gently. "He was dusty," the smaller boy said, still not looking up. "What's his name?" The boys looked at each other. They weren't sure if they should say. "Turbo," the older one finally said. "Turbo, huh? That's a good name." Keanu smiled. The boys didn't smile. Keanu pulled out his wallet. He gave them a clean $20 bill. "All right, I'll take him." The boys waited a moment before taking the money. One of them carefully took the sign off the car without tearing it. Keanu stood up and held the toy car in his hands. He was very gentle. "You sure you want to let him go?" The quiet boy looked away. The other one nodded. "We need to." Keanu felt something in those 3 words. I didn't panic. It was serious and real. They weren't saving for fun. A game console? A school trip? Something like that, he asked softly. The smaller boy shifted. He held his backpack tighter. His voice was quiet. "Just don't tell our stepdad." Keanu's face didn't change, but something inside him felt tight. "Don't worry. I won't say a word." The boys nodded. Still no smiles. Keanu stood there for a moment. He thought about asking more. But the silence was thick. It was private. He turned and started to walk away, still holding Turbo. Behind him, the boys picked up their backpacks. One of them looked back across the street at the apartment building, but said nothing. Then they walked away quietly. A moment later, something fell from one of the backpacks. It was a folded piece of paper. It landed softly on the wet sidewalk near Keanu's feet. He stopped and picked it up. It was damp and had a grease stain. He opened it carefully. It was a handwritten doctor's note. A prescription. The paper was a little torn. The ink had smeared in places. Written in red pen at the top were the words, "Urgent, take to hospital if symptoms continue." It was dated 2 weeks ago. It was already expired. Keanu looked at the name. It was a woman's name. He didn't know her. But that didn't matter. He felt something stir in his chest. This wasn't just a lost note. It was a warning. A call for help. He folded the paper and put it into his jacket pocket. Then he looked down the street. The twins had already turned the corner. He could see their small shapes just disappearing behind some parked cars. Keanu took a deep breath. Then he followed. He walked quietly, carefully. Years on movie sets and in busy cities had taught him how to move without being seen. He wasn't hiding, but he wasn't obvious either. He turned the corner and saw the boys again, walking in front of him on the sidewalk. They weren't talking or holding hands. They just walked, looking down, leaning forward like they wanted to disappear. They passed some old shops, a liquor store with a broken neon sign, a laundry place boarded up with wood, a pawn shop with bars on the windows and stacks of old TVs inside like treasure from homes that were long gone. Keanu stayed close behind the boys. He watched them. They didn't ask for help. They didn't talk to anyone. They just kept walking. A man sitting on a bench looked at them. A lady with a shopping cart full of bags looked away. No one seemed surprised to see two kids walking alone in this part of town. But something felt wrong. These boys were too quiet, too careful. They looked like they had big worries too heavy for kids their age. As Keanu kept walking, the neighborhood started to change. The sidewalk got cracked. The road had holes. Windows had bars. Walls had spray paint. The street lights flickered and buzzed. It felt darker and colder. The boys turned into a small alley between two buildings. Keanu slowed down and peeked around the corner. He saw them climbing up a metal staircase on an old apartment building. The paint was peeling. A dirty mattress leaned against a dumpster. Keanu stayed hidden under a bent streetlight. The boys moved like they had done this many times. They stepped quietly. They didn't step in the middle of the stairs so it wouldn't creak. Halfway up, the taller boy stopped and looked at a window. A little light was on behind a torn curtain. He waited, then kept going. Keanu's jaw felt tight. He walked a little closer. The ground was wet, but his boots didn't make a sound. From the street, Keanu could hear voices from the window above. A man sounded like he was yelling. Then it got quiet. Then louder again. A chair scraped. Something heavy hit the floor. Maybe glass. Then a voice shouted, "Then you sold what?" Keanu jumped. The voice was scary. It echoed down the fire escape. He stepped back into the shadows, hardly breathing. A second later, the curtain moved. A big shadow stood in the window. A bottle hung from his hand. His other hand hit the wall hard. He wasn't just mad. He was drunk and very angry. Then Keanu heard something soft. A little voice, one of the boys. "I'm sorry. We just wanted to help." It was quiet and sad. Keanu held the toy car tighter. His other hand touched the paper in his pocket, the one with medicine instructions. His heart beat faster. But not because he was scared. Because he understood. Keanu had seen this before. Kids who had to be too strong. Kids with pain they didn't deserve. Kids who lied to protect someone they loved, even if that person hurt them. He looked up at the old building. A streetlight above him buzzed. Trash was everywhere. It smelled bad, like old oil and something worse. A car zoomed by and disappeared. Someone yelled far away. Keanu looked at the window again. The light was still on. The shadow moved. Another loud bang came from inside. Maybe a drawer. Maybe something scarier. Keanu held the toy car. He remembered what his sister once told him. When kids lie to protect someone, that's when you know the danger is real. These boys had lied. Not for fun. But to protect someone sick. Someone broke. Or maybe both. Keanu looked at the stairs. They were rusty and broken. He stepped forward, then looked back. But nobody else was there. No one else had followed. No one else had seen the paper. No one else had heard the voice. It was just Keanu now. And a choice to make. He looked at the toy car again. It was still damp from the sidewalk. Still warm from the boys' hands. It wasn't just a toy. It was their last treasure. Their last hope. Then, the man upstairs yelled again. "You think you're smarter than me? Selling that junk behind my back?" Then, silence. Nothing. Keanu stepped onto the stairs. They creaked, but he didn't stop. He walked calmly. Slowly. He wasn't trying to be a hero. He was just someone who couldn't walk away this time. He reached the second floor. There was an old number on a door, 204. He could hear heavy breathing inside. Footsteps. A cough. A woman. Keanu made a fist. Knocked on the door. Someone stopped moving. The air felt cold. Keanu waited. The door opened a tiny bit. One of the twins looked out. The quiet one. His face looked pale. A bruise under his eye looked darker now. He didn't say anything. He just stared. Keanu didn't push. "Hey," he said. "I'm the man from the toy store." The boy waited, then slowly took off the door chain and opened it all the way. Keanu stepped inside. The apartment smelled bad, like wet clothes, alcohol, and something like rust. It felt very sad. Inside, it was dark. A yellow light blinked in the kitchen. The hallway was small. The carpet was dirty. A table had dust and unopened mail. From the other room, someone coughed. It sounded bad, like it hurt. Keanu followed the sound. In the living room, he saw her. A woman, maybe in her 30s, lay on an old mattress in the corner. She looked sick. Her skin was pale. Her lips dry. Next to her was a bowl of soup she hadn't eaten. A cup of water shook in her hand. She looked up when she saw Keanu. "Who?" she tried to ask. The boy answered, "This is the man who bought Turbo." Her eyes looked kinder. She tried to smile, but it didn't last. "I told them not to bother anyone," she said weakly. Keanu knelt down beside her. He spoke gently. "They didn't bother me. They amazed me." She coughed again, turned her head away. It sounded painful. There were pill bottles beside her. One was empty. Another tipped over. They looked old, not new. Keanu looked around. The whole room told a story. A sad one. The woman gripped her mattress, then nodded a little. From the kitchen came a crash. A bottle broke. The man shouted again. But Keanu was already pulling out his phone. He was calling for help. He wasn't going to leave them there. Not tonight. Not ever again. Later, Keanu's car drove through the city. The lights zoomed past the windows. In the back seat, the twins sat quietly, holding their mom's hands. She was in the middle, weak and breathing softly. Keanu didn't say anything. He didn't want to make them more scared. Only the GPS voice talked, counting down the minutes to the hospital. When they got there, Keanu helped put the mom into a wheelchair. The boys ran after her, holding her tight. A nurse saw them and quickly took them inside. Soon, she was behind hospital curtains. The boys sat on a hard bench in the hallway. Keanu sat beside them. The younger twin whispered, "Will she be okay?" Keanu looked at him. "The doctors are doing everything they can. You got her here just in time." The boy nodded but still looked worried. The older boy stared at the floor. After a while, he said, "She got sick a while ago. She kept coughing. Then I stopped eating." "Why didn't you ask for help sooner?" Keanu asked. They didn't answer at first. Then the younger one whispered, "Because, he said if we told anyone, they'd take us away from her." His voice shook when he said, "her." Keanu looked at them both. "And what do you think would have happened if you hadn't said anything?" They stayed quiet. But the silence said a lot. About half an hour later, a doctor came out. He looked tired but calm. "She's stable for now," he said. "Her lungs are very sick. She has pneumonia and hasn't been treated for weeks. She's also very weak from not eating." The words felt heavy. The younger boy covered his face. Keanu stood up. "What happens now?" "We'll keep her here tonight," the doctor said. "She'll get oxygen and medicine through a tube. But," the doctor looked serious, "she can't go back to that apartment. She needs rest, a safe place, and a clean room." Keanu nodded. He had already decided. She won't go back. Later, in the quiet hospital waiting room, Keanu got hot chocolate from a machine. The two boys sat beside him on the bench. Their little hands held the warm cups. For the first time, the older boy spoke without fear. "We sold the toy car because our stepdad used all the money on beer. He drinks every night, yells a lot, sometimes throws things, and sometimes he forgets we are there." The younger boy added, "Yeah." Keanu didn't say anything right away. He let their words sit in the air. Then, softly, he said, "I lost my mom when I was young too. My dad wasn't around much. I know what it feels like to grow up fast." The boys looked at him. Their eyes asked, "Really?" He nodded. "That's why I'm still here." The younger boy blinked. "We didn't think anyone would help us. People just walk past." Keanu held his cup tighter. "Not everyone does. I won't." A nurse walked into the waiting room. "She's asking for her boys," she said. As the boys stood up, Keanu looked at them and whispered, "Let's go show her she's not alone anymore." 3 days later, the air smelled better. Not like bleach or hospital food. Not like mold or beer. But like fresh paint, clean beds, and sunshine through the windows. Keanu stood outside a small house that was an emergency shelter. He watched the twins run on the garden paths. At first, they ran slowly, unsure. Then faster. They laughed, for the first time since Keanu met them. Inside the house, their mom was sitting up in bed. She was still weak, but she could breathe better. Her cheeks had color again. The staff gave her tea and medicine on time. The place was simple. Shared rooms and people took turns cooking, but it was safe. That meant everything. Keanu stood next to a woman who worked there. She was the shelter director. She was in her 40s and looked tired, but kind. "We've seen families like this before," she said. "But we don't usually see someone like you helping them." Keanu shook his head. "I just saw 2 kids selling a toy car. The rest happened from there." The woman smiled. "Sometimes that's all it takes." That afternoon, Keanu brought them a surprise. He opened his car's trunk and took out Turbo, the little red toy car. It was shiny now, and the wheels worked. The boys froze when they saw it. "You kept him?" one asked quietly. "I told you I'd take care of him," Keanu said. "Didn't I?" He placed the car on the grass. The twins knelt down and touched it gently, like it was something very special. "We thought you forgot." "I never forget the things that matter." There was a long pause. Then the older boy looked up and said, "One day, we'll give Turbo to another kid. Just like you gave him back to us." Keanu smiled. It felt like a promise. That night, the twins lay on their new beds. Their mom was resting in the next room. No yelling. No fear. Just peace. The younger one whispered, "Do you think this will last?" The older one thought for a moment. "I don't know," he said. Then added, "But I think he really cares. I think he really wants to help." Keanu heard them from the hallway. He didn't go in. He just sat quietly and let the moment happen. The next morning, as they walked to the garden, Keanu's phone rang. "Mr. Reeves speaking. Hi, this is Clara from the outreach team. You asked us to check the family's file." "Yes. Did you find anything?" There was a pause. "You might want to sit down," she said. "There's more to this story than we thought." Keanu looked at the boys playing with Turbo. They had no idea. His face grew serious. Whatever this was, it wasn't over. Keanu sat in a quiet office with Clara. She pushed a folder toward him. "The mom tried to get help months ago," she said. "She asked for doctors, housing, safety. No one answered." Keanu's jaw tightened. "Ignored." She was on a waiting list, but no one followed up. She even wrote a letter by hand and added pictures of the boys. He looked at one of the pages. The twins were younger, smiling. She was trying, Clara said. But no one was listening. Keanu stared at his hands. Thinking about the boys being alone while their mom got worse made his chest feel heavy. And the stepdad? Clara sighed. He was arrested once for hurting someone in the family. But it didn't go to court. Keanu stood up. I'm not letting this happen again. Not to them. That week, Keanu stayed busy. He signed papers, called lawyers, and met with child helpers. He paid for the mom's treatment, made sure she got a caseworker, and told the right people about the stepdad. No more hiding. No more silence. The boys didn't know everything, but they could feel something was different. Their world, once dark and sad, was starting to shine. One morning, as Keanu was packing up his car, he heard tiny footsteps. The older twin stood behind him, holding Turbo. We want you to have him again. Keanu raised an eyebrow. But he's yours now. He saved us, the boy said. But maybe he can help someone else too. Keanu bent down and took the car in his hands. Then I'll keep him safe until it's time. They hugged him. A big hug that said, thank you for seeing us when no one else did. Months passed. Their mom got all better. The boys started school. Keanu didn't live with them, but he stayed close. He always checked in. Always came when they needed him. One afternoon, a letter came to his studio. Inside was a drawing of Turbo, made with crayons. Around the car were 3 smiling stick people. On the back, a message written in crooked letters. Now we sleep in real beds. Mom laughs again. We're okay. You made us believe in good people again. Thank you for stopping that day. Ellen and Manu. Keanu placed the letter beside Turbo, now sitting on a shelf. He sat quietly, thinking. Sometimes, the smallest things, a piece of paper, a toy car, a choice to stop and help, can change everything. That night, Keanu wrote in his journal. Sometimes the only thing between a broken family and a second chance is a stranger who chooses not to look away. If you liked this story, tell me in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more fun adventures and mysteries. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.